So, as per normal, my model needs a little bit of help, probably a light on. Excuse me for just a second, sweetie. But today I will be reading The Temple by H.P Lovecraft and a few other stories, but I forgot to plug in my light for my camera to pick up my face. So, if you excuse me for just a second. I know the jank never ends, but that's one of the great things about it. So, let me just go quickly plug it in. Katomi. I know it's great if you want to see a beautiful emote. Beautiful, isn't it? Let me just plug this in and there. Face tracking should be much better now. I'll go reset it and okay. Okay, there. That should be better now. Hello everyone. Proper begin. Welcome in, beautiful Pluto. Hi, darling. I hope you've been well. Oh, we're holding feet, yes. We are most certainly holding feet. Here. In case you haven't, Pluto's wonderful, and so is Katomi. There. Both of them are wonderful. Anyway. Oh, I also need to make a Discord command, even though it's really only, and my mouth barely moves, but that's okay. Let me go find the temple. I believe I may have it saved. I can't quite remember. No, that's Call of Cthulhu. Would not recommend reading that because it is boring as all. Okay, the temple 14. Okay, that shouldn't be too hard to find. Here it is, the temple. On August 20th, 1917, I, Karl Heinrich Graf von Altberg-Ehrenstein, Lieutenant Commander of the Imperial German Navy and in charge of the submarine U-29, deposit this bottle and record in the Atlantic Ocean at a point to me unknown, but probably north latitude 20, west longitude 35, where my ship lies disabled on the ocean floor. I do so because my desire to set certain unusual facts before the public, a thing I shall not in all probability survive to accomplish in person, since the circumstances surrounding me are menacing. As they are extraordinary and involve not only the hopeless crippling of the U-29, but the impairment of my iron German will in a manner most disastrous. On the afternoon of June 28th, as reported by wireless to the U-61, bound for Kiel, we torpedoed the British freighter Victory, New York to Liverpool, in north latitude 4516. Let me see what emote that is. Hypers. It's cute. Yes, thank you for being in here, Red. It's always great to see you. I am currently reading The Temple by H.P Lovecraft. It is fun to read. Oh, wait. I forgot to change title, didn't I? The important thing. Then we'll change it to don't forget the ASMR. There. I definitely forget about a lot of things. Okay. Ooh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, let me do a few kisses for you, sweetie. Hopefully they're good. Back to my book. Yes, I did forget to put in my bookmark. So, I know, professional streamer here. I know, Pluto, you are, kitty. So get all the kisses you want. Now streaming. Stream Elements is so delayed for no reason. Unless it's dropped twice, in which case that worries me. Because I have no sight of it. Okay. I know. Fanta. Welcome in, darling. Thank you for being a good boy and showing up. Do you want a reward? Feel free to just ask what you want, sweetie. Yes. Stream Elements is going burp. I'm starting to think it's being a bit jank today. But that's okay. Napping. That's good. If you need me to change anything, again, just ask or give a comment. Or if you can't hear me and I need to rebalance my audio levels, I'll certainly do it for you, sweetie. Let me find where I was. North latitude 45 by 16, west longitude 28 by 34, permitting the crew to leave in boats in order to obtain a good cinema view for the Admiralty records. The ship sank quite picturesquely, bow first. Really? Double spamming, okay. Oh, the hotness coming from me. 3 months, Fanta. Has it been that long? I feel old. But that's okay. It feels like I just met you yesterday, and I still need to send you more messages. And I thank you for being here, and just being you, sweetie. Now back to relaxing. Here, I'll even give you a kiss. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hopefully that isn't doing any double shoutouts. The ship sank quite picturesquely, bow first, the stern rising high out of the water, whilst the bow shot down perpendicularly to the bottom of the ocean. Our camera missed nothing, and I regret that so fine a reel of film should never reach Berlin. After that, we sank the lifeboats with our guns and submerged. When we rose to the surface after about sunset, a seaman's body was found on the deck, hands gripping the railing in curious fashion. The poor fellow was young, rather dark, and very handsome, probably an Italian or Greek, and undoubtedly of the Victory's crew. He had evidently sought refuge on the very ship which had been forced to destroy his own. One more victim of the unjust war of aggression which English pig dogs were waging upon the fatherland. Our men reached him for souvenirs and found him in his coat pockets, a very odd bit of ivory carved to represent a youth's head, crowned with laurel. My fellow officer, Lieutenant Klenze, believe that the thing was of great age and artistic value, so took it from the men for himself. How it had ever come into possession of a common sailor, neither neither he nor I could imagine. As the dead man was thrown overboard, there occurred two incidents which created much disturbance amongst the crew. The fellow's eyes had been closed, but in the dragging of his body to the rail, they were jarred open, and many seemed to entertain a queer delusion that they gazed steadily and mockingly at Schmidt and Zimmer, who were bent over the corpse. The boatswain Müller, an elderly man who have known better he. I am reading poorly today, and of course my model's frozen. If you don't mind, I'm going to turn on another light, because having light I'm only one. Everything makes so much noise. Okay. Apologies for all the noise. For some reason, when I drink my teas too, my mouth produces way too much spit. It's rather odd. Secondary light is on. And yes, my model is indeed frozen. So I'm probably gonna throw up a GIF or something, just so I can have it in the corner being unquestionable. So, let me just go quickly do that. And if you want to, tell me how you've been. Okay, image or media. Oh crap. What would it be for throwing in a GIF? Okay. Let me go try. Oh, I'm definitely not adding that. There it is. Perfect. And we'll just flip it around, put it in the corner, and not mention it at all. Okay, that's good enough for you. Let me go take off my headphones now, drink some more tea, and we'll get back to reading. Oh wait, has my camera decided that it's not going to connect? Weirdness. Calibrate. Camera off. Camera on. Yeah. My camera just decided to turn off. Okay. Back to reading now with wonderful toes. I'll throw the bookmark that direction. My fellow officer, Lieutenant Cleanse, believed that the thing was of great age and artistic value, so took it from the men for himself. How it had ever come into possession of a common sailor, neither he nor I could imagine. As the dead man was thrown overboard, there occurred two incidents which created much disturbance amongst the crew. The fellow's eyes had been closed, but the dragging of his body to the rail they were jarred open, and many seemed to entertain a queer delusion that they gazed steadily and mockingly at Schmidt and Zimmer, who had bent over the corpse. The boatswain Müller was an elderly man who would have known better had he not a superstitious Alsatian swine. Yes, that's great. Became so excited by this impression that I watched the body in the water and swore that it sank a little, and drew its limbs into a swimming position and sped away to the south under the waves. Cleanse and I did not like these displays of peasant ignorance, and severely reprimanded the men, particularly Müller. The next day, a very troublesome situation was created by the indisposition as some of the crew. They were evidently suffering from the nervous strain of our long voyage, and had bad dreams. Several seemed quite dazed and stupid. After satisfying myself that they were not feigning their weakness, I excused them from their duties. The sea was rather rough, so we descended to a depth where the waves were less troublesome. Here we are comparatively calm, despite a somewhat puzzling southward current, which we cannot identify from our oceanographic charts. The moans of the sick men were decidedly annoying, but since they did not appear to demoralize the rest of the crew, we did not resort to extreme measures. It was our plan to remain where we were and intercept the liner Dacia, mentioned in information from agents in New York. In the early evening, we rose to the surface and found the sea less heavy. The smoke of a battleship was on the northern horizon, but our distance and ability to submerge made us safe. What worried us more was the talk of Botswana, which grew wilder as night came on. He was in a detestably childish state, and babbled of some illusion of dead bodies. Hopefully it was just something outside. I heard a rather odd noise. And babbled some illusion of dead bodies drifting past the undersea portholes. Bodies which looked at him intensely and which he recognized in spite of bloating as having seen dying during some of our victorious German exploits. And he said that the young man we had found and tossed overboard was their leader. This was very gruesome and abnormal, so we confined Mula in irons and had him soundly whipped. The men were not pleased as punishment, but discipline was necessary. We also denied the request of a delegation headed by Seaman Zimmer that the curious carved ivory head be cast into the sea. On June 20th, Seaman Bohm and Schmidt, who had been ill the day before, became violently insane. I regret that no physician was included in our complement of officers, since German lives were precious. But the constant ravings of the two concerning a terrible curse were most subversive of discipline, so drastic steps were taken. The crew accepted the event in a solemn fashion, and it seemed to quiet Mueller, who thereafter gave us no trouble. In the evening we released him, and he went about his duties silently. In the week that followed, we were all very nervous, watching for the Dacia. The tension was aggravated by the disappearance of Mueller and Zimmer, who undoubtedly committed suicide as a result of the fears which had seemed to harass them. Though they had not observed the act of jumping. Oh, you want headbands? I can do that. Pluto dear, would you kindly accept the headbands after I finish a paragraph? I find it's always best to do that, and it helps me keep track. Overboard. I was rather glad to be rid of Mueller, for even his silence had invariably affected the crew. Everyone seemed inclined to be silent now, as though holding a secret fear. Many were ill, but none made a disturbance. Lieutenant Clemse chafed under the strain, and was annoyed by the merest trifles, such as the school of dolphins which gathered about the U-29 in increasing numbers, and the growing intensity of the southward current, which was not on our chart. Okay. Time to call. Oh, Pluto. Would you like any other redeems, too? You may not have necessary points, but for you, I can call you a good boy, good girl, good Pluto, good kitty, good cat, anything along with that too, because I personally always find that having more redeems all at one time is best. But for now, I'll give you some sweet head pats.
Who's a good kitty? You are. Good. Sweet. Pluto. Good kitty. Who's a good kitty? You are. Of course you are. Laying on my lap. All warm. All cute. Rolled up. Laying there. Good kitty. Oh, Fanta, if you want something too, just ask. I can call you a good boy. You like that, won't you? Good boy. Good boy. That's a good boy, Fanta. You are. Good boy. The goodest of all boys. Looking so good in your collar. Good boy. Okay. Well, no problem, Fanta. If you ever want me to say anything more, all you have to do is ask. That depends if you're not going to be shy. You fell on the floor. That's okay. Again, if you have any tips for you, just say what you want. I'll do it. It's okay. Now back to the book. It, at length, became apparent that we had missed Dacia altogether. Such failures are not uncommon, and we were more pleased than disappointed, since our return to Wilhelmshaven was now in order. At noon, June 28th, we turned northeastward, and despite some comical entanglements with unusual masses of dolphins, we were soon underway. The explosion in the engine room at 2 p.m. was wholly a surprise. No defect in machinery or carelessness in the men had been noticed. Yet, without warning, the ship was racked from end to end with a colossal shock. Lieutenant Klenze hurried to the engine room. Finding the fuel tank and most of the mechanism shattered, engines Labe and Schneider instantly killed. Our situation had suddenly become grave indeed, for though the chemical air generators were intact, and though we could use the devices for raising and submerging the ship, and opening the hatches as long as compressed air and storage batteries might hold out, we were powerless to propel or guide the submarine. To seek rescue in the lifeboats would deliver ourselves into the hands of enemies unreasonably embittered against our great German nation, and our wireless had failed ever since the Victory affair to put us in touch with a fellow U-boat of the Imperial Navy. From the hour of the accident till July 2nd, we drifted constantly to the south, almost without plans, encountering no vessel. Dolphins still encircled the U-29, a somewhat remarkable circumstance considering the distance we had covered. On the morning of July 2nd, we sighted a warship flying American colors, and the men became very restless in their desire to surrender. Finally, Lieutenant Klenze had to shoot a seaman named Taube, who urged this man, a German act, with especial violence. This quieted the crew for the time, and we submerged unseen. The next afternoon, a dense flock of seabirds appeared from the south, and the ocean began to heave ominously. Closing our hatches, we awaited developments until we realized that we either must submerge or be swamped in the morning waves. Our air pressure and electricity were diminishing, and we wished to avoid all unnecessary use of our
slender mechanical resources, but in this case there was no choice. We did not descend far, and when, after several hours, the sea was calmer, we decided to return to the surface. Here, however, new trouble developed, for the ship failed to respond to our direction, in spite of all mechanisms I could, as the men grew more frightened at the undersea imprisonment. Some of them began to mutter about Lieutenant Cleanse's ivory image, but the sight of an automatic pistol calmed them. We kept the poor devils as busy as we could, tinkering at the machinery even when we knew it was useless. Cleanse and I usually slept at different times, and it was during my sleep about 5 a.m. July 4th that the general mutiny broke loose. The 6 remaining pigs of seamen suspected that we were lost, had suddenly burst into a mad fury at our refusal to surrender to the Yankee battleship 2 days before, and were in a delirium of cursing destruction. They roared like the animals they were, and broke instruments and furniture indiscriminately, screaming about such nonsense as the curse of the ivory image and a dark dead youth who looked at them. Swam away, Lieutenant Cleanse paralyzed and inefficient, as one might expect of a soft, womanish Rhinelander. I shot at 6 men, for it was necessary, and made sure that none remained alive. We expelled the bodies through the double hatches and were alone in the U-29. Cleanse seemed very nervous and drank heavily. It was decided that we remain alive as long as possible, using the large stock of provisions and chemical supply of oxygen, none of which had suffered from the crazy antics of those swine-hunged seamen. Our compasses, depth gauges, and other delicate instruments were ruined, so that henceforth let me clean my right eye here. So that henceforth our only reckoning would be guesswork, based on our watches, the calendar, and our apparent drift, as judged by any objects that we might spy through the portholes. Or from the conning tower. Unfortunately, we had a storage battery still capable of long use, both for interior lighting and for the searchlight. We often cast a beam around the ship, but saw only dolphins, swimming patrol to our own drifting course. I was scientifically interested in these dolphins, for though the ordinary Delphinus delphius was a cetacean mammal, unable to subsist without air, I watched one of the swimmers closely for 2 hours and did not see him alter his submerged condition. With the passage of time, Cleanse and I decided that we were still drifting south. Meanwhile, sinking deeper and deeper, we noticed the marine fauna and flora, and read much on the subject in books I carried with me for spare moments. I could not help observing, however, the inferior scientific knowledge of my companion. His mind was not Prussian, but given to imaginings and speculations which have no value. The fact of our coming death affected him curiously, and he would frequently pray in remorse over the men, women, and children we had sent to the bottom, forgetting that all the things were noble which served the German state. After a time, he became noticeably imbalanced, gazing for hours at his ivory image, and weaving fanciful stories of lost and forgotten things under the sea. As a pathological experiment, I lead him on these wanderings, and listen to his endless poetical quotations and tales of sunken ships. I was very sorry for him, for I disliked to see a German suffer, but he was not a good man to die with. For myself, I was proud, knowing how the fatherland would revere my memory, and how my sons would be taught to be men like me. On August 9th, we espied the ocean floor and sent a powerful beam from the searchlight over it. It was a vast, undulating plain, mostly covered with seaweed, and strewn with shells of small morsels. Here and there were slimy objects of puzzling contour, draped with weeds and encrusted with barnacles, which Cleanse declared to be ancient ships lying in their graves. He was puzzled by one thing, a peak of solid matter, protruding above the ocean bed nearly 4 feet at its apex, about 2 feet thick, with flat sides and smoother upper surfaces, which met at a very obtuse angle. I called the peak a bit of outcropping rock, but Cleanse thought he saw carvings on it. After a while he began to shudder, and turned away from the scene as if frightened. I know. I keep yawning. I think it's because the only thing I had was, Oh, hi, welcome in, Midnight. I keep yawning and whatnot. So apologies if that interrupts it. But yes, this is the beautiful interlocking toes. And if you don't mind, I'm going to raise the model so you can see more of the toes. I know you won't mind, sweetie. It's beautiful toes. It's, I know, very Is yes the valid answer? Because I'm tired from not eating and only getting 6 hours of sleep, but yes, darling Fanta is in here, being all cute and wonderful, listening to me read, and for that I thank them. And Mitty, would you like any redeems since you're here? I can do a few. God. I frankly have no idea as to why I'm so tired. I slept for 6 hours. Perhaps I should have gotten more, but sleep is always great. But yes, Fanta darling, or not Fanta, but Mitty, if you so want to redeem, I can easily do one for you. Earlegs? Oh, someone wants to be a happy boy. Okay. Let me go put my bookmark in. Now, I will say this. Because I'm not on my binaural or binaural ASMR mic, you're going to have to brace for me making some noise here. Okay. And let me just go. There. Okay. Ear licking time. Don't mind if I clean out all the earwax, Minnie. You'll be okay. I know you will because you're a good, sweet boy. You'll allow me to do anything to you. So just relax.
pretty cleaned out, Mitty. I know you are. It's a good boy. Coming here after your stream. Good boy. I hope you have some snacks you can eat so you can brace yourself for all of my yawns. Ooh. Now back to book. By the way, if you ever want me to, maybe I'm always available for a quick little Discord call. Just Joe, welcome in, sweetie. I was just doing some wonderful ear-licking ASMR for the beautiful lady as seen above. You're in Chicago. Good. I won't say what you're doing there in case you don't want me to, but I hope it goes well, sweetie, and you get accepted for all of it, and all of it goes well, sweetie. Sincerely. I want to see you do good and have plenty of fun. And if you want me to do any redeems for you, Joe, ooh, I remember. Okay. I'm sure maybe just send me a message. Yes, and I do hope it goes completely good for you, Joe. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go back to reading more of the temple, but if anyone has any redeems, ask or just do them. I'm always there. And if I have redeems you want me to do, but I don't have them, just ask. I'll add them. Ooh, let me find my spot. But Cleanse thought he saw carvings on it. After a while he began to shudder and turned away from the scene, as if frightened, yet could give no explanation save for that he was overcome with the vastness, darkness, remoteness, antiquity, and mystery of the oceanic abysses. For his mind was tired, but I am always a German, and was quick to notice two things: that the U-29 was standing on the deep sea, pressure splendidly, and that the peculiar dolphins were still about us, even at a depth where the existence of high organisms is considered impossible by most naturalists. That I had previously overestimated our depth, and I was sure, but nonetheless we must still be deep enough to make these phenomena remarkable. Our southward speed, as gauged by the ocean floor, was about as I had estimated from the organisms past higher levels. It was at 3:15 p.m., August 12th, that poor Cleanse was wholly mad. He had been in the conning tower using a searchlight when I saw him bound into the library compartment, where I sat reading. Oh, and as a random aside, Joe, nothing sus happened, Brad. You know that. And as a random aside, Joe, could you type in chat all the food? Because when I responded, I didn't drink any tea and I was quite tired. I don't recall what it was, other than some delicious looking, what I assume to be ramen. Yes. Ooh, what should you type? Oh, no, I was speaking to the rat in the garage. But, Brad, if you have any redeems you want me to do, just do them. I'll do them quickly for you, sweetie. Though I need to scratch my nose. Okay, let me go find this one. It was at 3:15 p.m., August 12th, that poor Cleanse went wholly mad. He had been in the conning tower using a searchlight when I saw him bound into the library compartment, where I sat reading, and his face at once betrayed him.
I will repeat here what he said, underlining the words he emphasized. He is calling. He is calling. I understand him, or I hear him. We must go. As he spoke, he took his ivory image from the table and pocketed it. I seized my arm in an effort to drag me up to the companionway up to the deck. In a moment, I understood what he meant to open the hatch and plunge with me into the water outside, a vagary of suicidal and homicidal mania for which I was scarcely prepared. As I hung back and attempted to soothe him, he grew more violent, saying, "Come now, do not wait until later. It is better to repent and be forgiven than to defy and be condemned." Then I tried to opposite of the soothing plan, and told him he was mad, pitifully demented, but he was unmoved and cried, "If I am mad, it is mercy. May the gods pity the man who in his callousness can remain sane to the hideous end. Come and be mad whilst he still calls with mercy." Ooh, purring kisses. Okay, I can do that. Khajiit has done nothing. Khajiit is innocent of these crimes. Some kisses. Let me go wet my hand here. Okay. And a good boy. The good boy. We go do one thing. There. I just want to check my mic here before I can start calling the goodest boy the good boy. I hope you don't mind. 900p is much better than 720. Okay. And advance. Video stats. 1 second delay. It's pretty good. Pluto, you are such a good boy. Good boy. Look at you with your cute dancing mouth. You're so happy about it, aren't you? So proud and amazed. It's always good to see a good, sweet boy like you be so happy about it. Good boy. Good boy. Who's the good boy? You are. Good boy. Would you like me to do another one for you? Perhaps a good kitty. How's a good kitty? You are. Good kitty. Good kitty.
What in tarnation? Pluto. The oddest thing seems to appear to me. For some strange reason, I was not following you. What strangeness is that? I've known you for how long now, and I couldn't give you a follow. I feel so sad at that. After all, you're a good sleeper. Okay. I just... Okay. Also, I'm not sure if you can hear Train Coon, but Train Coon's going honk honk. Now. Back to book time with Train Coon. Train Coon's so rude nowadays, you know? So rude. Now, back to book. This outburst seemed to relieve the pressure in his brain, for he had finished. He grew much milder, asking me to let him depart alone if I could not accompany him. My course at once became clear. He was a German, but only a Rhinelander, and a commoner. Peasant. I know, Train Coon. He's going honk honk honk. Oh, Joe, if you want, you could say yes, and I could, do incursion ASMR for you. Telling you that you're gonna have a good time, and it's all gonna be well, and everyone wants you, and all of your interviews, they're going amazing. Sure, you might be, nervous, but it's good. I recognize how good you are, and I know that for a fact. And he has now a potentially dangerous madman. By complying with his suicidal request, I could immediately free myself from one who is no longer a companion, but a menace. Oh. Well, Joe, that wasn't really a good one. It was just a taste, if you will. Let me just get to midway point and finish yet another long paragraph here. I asked him to give me the ivory image before he went, but this request brought from him such uncanny laughter that I did not repeat it. Then I asked him if he wished to leave any keepsake or lock of hair for his family in Germany, in case I should be rescued. But again, he gave me that strange laugh, so as he climbed the ladder, I went to the levers and, allowing proper time intervals, operated the machinery which sent him to his death. After I saw that he was no longer in the boat, I threw the searchlight around in the water in an effort to obtain at least a glimpse of him, since I wished to ascertain whether the water pressure would flatten him, as it theoretically should, where the body would be unaffected. Like these extraordinary dolphins, I did not, however, succeed in finding my late companion, for dolphins were massed thickly and obscurely about the conning tower. There. Now. Joe, sweet, darling, most wonderful, and say so, Joe. I know you're traveling all over the country, doing all of these interviews, person to person, doing such a great job at, too. going to all these places. I hope you have some beautiful photos of any architecture or anything that you noticed. Yes, look at you, Joe, being say-so except in DMs. But you're doing such a good job with all these interviews. Playing your favorite instruments, the violin, I believe, and impressing all of the judges, or whatever title they hold, examiners. Yes, it's probably more fitting, but for now, we'll keep it as judges, realizing that you are such an amazing girl with great, amazing talent. So good, yeah. So good. I know it's wonderful going to all these places, seeing new things you may or may not have seen, seeing old things that you have seen, but it's been a while. And I must say, congratulations. You're doing good. Keep it up. And if you see anything important or whatever it may be, take a pic and send it to me. I always love seeing what people enjoy. And if you want, Joe, if you have any recordings of you playing the violin that you want to share, just send it to me and I'll play it for the wonderful chat to hear. Okay. Thank you for the pics, sweetie. It's always great hearing from you. And while I might not be the greatest at sending messages or knowing what to say when you send me a wonderful meme, I thank you for trying. And take time with me, please. I'm not the best at keeping communication. There. Ooh. What does that sound like? Here. Tell me if you like this noise, Chad. Wow, it's not being picked up. Noise cancellation and all that. Okay. And for that, I thank you, Joe. That one does a lot more sugar. And yes, I'm drinking lemon ginger with honey. It's great for my throat. Okay, let me figure out where I was. That evening, I regret that I had not taken the ivory image superfluously from poor Clemse's pocket as he left, for the memory of it fascinated me. I could not forget the youthful, beautiful head with its leafy crown, though I am not by nature an artist. I was also also sorry that I had not one with whom to converse. Clemse, though not my mental equal, was much better than no one. I did not sleep well that night, and wondered exactly when the end would come. Surely I had enough chance of rescue. The next day I ascended to the conning tower and commenced the customary searchlight explorations. Northward the view was not much the same as it had been all 4 days since I had sighted the bottom, but I perceived that the drifting of the U-29 was less rapid. As I swung the beam around to the south, I noticed that the ocean floor ahead fell away in a marked declivity,
and bore curiously irregular blocks of stone in certain places, disposed as if in accordance with definite patterns. The boat did not at once descend to match the greater ocean depth, so I was soon forced to adjust the searchlight to cast a sharply downward beam. Owing to the abruptness of the change, a wire was disconnected, which necessitated a delay of many minutes for repairs. But at length the light streamed on again, flooding the marine valley below me. I am not given to emotion of any kind, but my amazement was great when I was what lay revealed in the electrical glow, and yet, as one reared to the best Kotar of Prussia. Let me go scratch here. I should not have been amazed, for geology and traditional light tell us of great transpositions of oceanic and continental. Next page. Areas. What I saw was an extended and elaborate array of ruined edifices of all magnificent, though unclassified architecture, and in various stages of preservation. Most appear to be of marble, gleaming whitely in the rays of a searchlight, and the general plan was a large city at the bottom of a narrow valley, with numerous isolated temples and villas on the steep slopes. Above, roofs were fallen, and columns broken, but there still remained an air of immemorial or ancient splendor which nothing could efface. Confronted at last with the Atlantis I had formerly deemed largely a myth, I was the most eager of explorers, and at the bottom of that valley a river once had flowed. For as I examined the scene more closely, I beheld the remains of stone and marble bridges and sea walls, and terraces and embankments once verdant and beautiful. In my enthusiasm I became nearly idiotic and sentimental as Clinton, and was very tardy in noticing that the southward current had ceased at last, allowing the U-29 to settle slowly down upon the sunken city, as an aeroplane settles upon a town of the upper earth. I was slow, too, in realizing that a school of unusual dolphins had vanished. In about 2 hours, a boat rested in a paved plaza, close to the rocky wall of the valley. On one side I could view the entire city as if sloped from the plaza down to the river bank. On the other side, in startling proximity, I was confronted by the richly ornate and perfectly preserved facade of a great building, evidently a temple. Let me go check my phone. There you go. Yeah. Let me go look at this file. Oh, interference and static. Oh, again. And hi, Lukey, sweetie. Welcome in. Oh, what's this you sent me? Oh, this is from Rat, by the way. Giordano's Pizza? Oh, I want that. Oh, but lactose intolerance. I can push for that. Okay. Now, for darling Lukey. Hi, welcome in, Lukey. I hope you've been good. I thank you for coming in and doing the pleasure of modding for me. I'll mostly be reading, but if you want any redeems, just ask. Oh, I'm doing good too, though I am yawning excessively today. Okay. Nail taps, kisses, and purr. I'll do them in order. Yes. Yes, I am sleepy.
kisses. Let me go moisten my hand again. Almost 1 a.m. and I'm eating yogurt. My bread. I do hope, sweetie, that you're not lactose intolerant. But now let me just momentarily mute my mic, and I'll do nail taps for your bread. Okay, nail taps. Go check. My bread. That seems a bit dangerous. I'm sleepy. I'll probably get some, what is it? I could nap after this. Bread dangerous. I like to see that. The name's Bread. No, that's not how it goes. The name's Dangerous. Bread dangerous. Okay. There's the top end. Now the head pads are blue though, so I'll go put the muffler / wind protector back on. Good boy though. Good. Good boy. Good. Sweet boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good. Good kitty. Good. Good kitty. Good kitty. It's all gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Now, I hope you heard that. I know. A very lewd thing to hold toes with. Okay. Oh, peak relaxation time. Thank you. I'm going to continue reading this. I don't know how many pages I have left, but hopefully not too many. Let's see, it's on page 20. Okay, 2.5 full pages to read. So, yes, I thank you for being here. You sweet kitty. Now back to book. Let me go find where I last read. Oh, there it is. I was confronted by the richly ornate and perfectly preserved facade of a great building, evidently a temple hollowed from the solid rock of the original workmanship. Of this titanic thing I can only make conjectures. The facade of immense magnitude apparently covers a continuous hollow recess, for its windows are many and widely distributed. In the center yawns a great open door, reached by an impressive flight of steps, and surrounded by exquisite carvings like the figures of bacchanals in relief. Right now that word. Foremost of all are the great columns in frieze, both decorated with sculptures of inexpressible beauty, obviously portraying idealized pastoral scenes and processions of priests and priestesses bearing strange ceremonial devices in adoration of the radiant god. The art is a most phenomenal perfection, largely Hellenic. Hellenic. An ideal, yet strangely individual. It imparts an impression of terrible antiquity, as though it were the most remotest rather than the immediate ancestor of Greek art. Nor can I doubt that in every detail of this massive product was fashioned from the virgin hillside rock on our planet. It is palpably a part of the valley wall, though how the vast interior was ever excavated I cannot imagine. Perhaps a cavern or series of caverns first nucleus. Neither age nor submersion has corroded the pristine grandeur of this awful fane, for the fane indeed it must be, and today, after thousands of years of resting untarnished, it rests untarnished and enveloped in the endless night and silence of the ocean chasm. I cannot reckon the number of hours spent in gazing at the sunken city with its buildings, arches, statues, and bridges, and a colossal temple with its beauty and mystery. Though I knew that death was near, my curiosity was consuming, and I threw the searchlight's beam about an eager quest. The shaft of light permitted me to learn many details, but refused to skew anything. Within the gaping door of the rock-hewn temple, and after a time I turned off the current, and conscious of the need of conserving power. The rays were now perceptibly dimmer than they had been during the weeks of drifting, and, as if sharpened by the coming deprivation of light, my desire to explore the watery secrets grew. I, a German, would be the first to tread upon those aeon forgotten ways. I produced and examined a deep-sea diving suit, a jointed metal, and experimented with the portable light and air regenerator. Though I should have trouble in managing the double hatches alone, I believe I should overcome all obstacles with my scientific skill and actually walk about the dead city in person. On August 16th, I effected an exit from the U-29, laboriously made my way through the ruined and mud-choked streets to the ancient river. I found no skeletons or other human remains, but gleaned a wealth of archaeological lore from sculptures and coins. Of this I cannot now speak, save to utter my awe at a culture in the full noon of glory. When cave dwellers roamed Europe, and the Nile flowed unwatched to the sea, others, guided by the manuscript, if it shall ever be found, must unfold the mysteries at which I can only hint. I returned to the boat, as my electric batteries grew feeble, resolved to explore the rock temple on the following day. On the 17th, my impulse to search out the mystery of the temple waxed still more incessant. A great disappointment befell me, for I found that the materials needed to replenish the portable light had perished in
mutiny of these pigs in July, my rage was unbound, yet my German sense forbade me to venture unprepared into an utterly black interior, which might prove to be the lair of some indescribable marine monster, or a labyrinth of passages from whose windings I could never extricate myself. All I could do was turn on the waning searchlight of the U-29, and with its aid walk up to the temple steps and study the exterior carvings. The shaft of light entered the door at an upward angle, and I peered in to see if I could glimpse anything, but all in vain. Not even the roof was visible, and though I took a step or two inside after testing the floor with a staff, I dared not to go farther. Moreover, for the first time in my life, I experimented experienced emotion of dread. I began to realize how some of the poor cleanse's moods had arisen, as though the temple drew me more and more. I feared its aqueous abysses with a blind and mounting terror. Returned to the submarine, I turned off the lights and sat thinking in the dark. Electricity must now be saved for emergencies. Saturday the 18th. I spent in total darkness, tormented by thoughts. Memories that threatened to overcome my German will, and Cleanse had gone mad. Paris, before reaching a sinister remnant of the past unwholesomely remote, and had advised me to go with him, was indeed. Fate preserving my reason only drew me irresistibly to an end more horrible and unthinkable than any man had dreamed of. Clearly my nerves were sorely taxed, and I must cast off these impressions of weaker men. I could not sleep Saturday night, and I turned on the lights regardless of the furniture or the future. I was annoyed that the electricity should not last out of the air and provisions. I revived my thoughts of euthanasia, and examined my automatic pistol. Toward morning, I must have dropped asleep with the lights on, for I awoke in darkness yesterday afternoon to find the batteries dead. I struck several matches in succession, desperately regretted the improvidence which had caused us long ago to use up the few candles we carried. After fading at the last match I dared to waste, I sat quietly without a light. As I considered the inevitable end, my mind ran over the preceding events, and developed a hitherto dormant impression that should have caused a weaker, more superstitious man to shudder. The head of a radiant god in sculptures on the rock of the temple is the same as a carven bit of ivory that the dead sailor brought from the sea, which poor Cleanse carried back into the sea. I was a bit dazed by this coincidence, but had not become terrified. It is only inferior finger reasons to explain the singular and complex by the primitive shortcut of supernaturalism. The coincidence was strange, but I was too sound a reasoner to connect circumstances which admit of no logical connection, or to associate in any uncanny fashion the disastrous events which led from the Victory affair to my present plight. Feeling the need of much more rest, I took a sedative and secured some more sleep. My nervous condition, which reflected my dreams, for I seemed to hear the cries of drowning persons, and to see dead faces pressed against the portholes of the boat, and among the dead faces was the living, mocking face of the youth with the ivory image. I must now be careful how I record my awakening today. I am unstrung, and much hallucination is necessary mixed with fact. Pathologically, my case is most interesting, and I regret that I cannot be observed scientifically by a competent German authority. Upon opening my eyes, my first sensation was overmastering desire to visit the rock temple, a desire which grew every instant. Yet I automatically sought to resist some emotion of fear which operated to reverse direction. Let me crack that. Next there came to me the impression of a light amidst the darkness of dead batteries, and I seemed to be a sort of phosphorescent glow in the water though the porthole which opened towards the sea, or towards the temple. This aroused my curiosity, for I knew of no deep-sea organism capable of emitting such luminosity. But before I could investigate, there came a third impression which, because of its irrationality, caused me to doubt the objectivity of anything my senses could record. It was an aural delusion, a sensation of rhythmic, melodic sound, as some wild yet beautiful chant or choral hymn coming from the outside through the absolutely soundproof hall of the U-29, convinced my psychological and nervous abnormality. I lighted some matches and poured a stiff dose of sodium bromide solution, which seemed to calm me to the extent of dispelling the illusion of sound. But the phosphorescence remained, and I had the difficulty of repressing the child's impulse to go to the porthole and see the source. It was horrific realistic, and I could soon distinguish by its aid of familiar objects around me, as well as empty sodium bromide glass of which I had no former visual impression in its present location. The last circumstances made me ponder. I crossed the room and touched the glass. It was indeed the place where I had seemed to see it. Now I knew that the light was either real or part of hallucination so fixed and constant that I could not hope to dispel it. So, abandoning all resistance, I ascended to the conning tower to look for the luminous agency. Might it not be actually another U-boat, offering possibilities of rescue? Well, it is well that the reader accept nothing which follows as objectively truth, for since the events transcend natural law, they are necessarily the subjective and unreal creations of my overtaxed mind. When I obtained the conning tower, I found the sea in general far less luminous than I expected. There was no animal or vegetable phosphorescence about, and the city that sloped down to the river was invisible in blackness. Let me go stretch. Ooh. What I did see was not spectacular, not grotesque or terrifying, yet removed my vestige of trust in my consciousness. For the door and windows of my undersea temple, hewn from the rocky hill, were vividly aglow with a flickering radiance, as from a mighty altar flame far within. Later instants are chaotic. As I stared at the uncanny lighted door and windows, I became subject to the most extravagant visions so extravagant that I cannot relate them. I fancied that discerned objects in the temple, objects both stationary and moving, and seemed to hear them again, an unreal chant that had flowed to me when first I awakened, and overrose thoughts and fears which centered in the view from the sea, an ivory image whose carving was duplicated on the fringe and columns of the temple before me. I thought of poor Cleanse and wondered where his body rested, with the image he had carved back into the sea, or carried back into the sea. He had warned me of something, and I had not hated, but he was soft-headed Rhinelander, and who went mad at troubles of Prussian could bear with ease. The rest was very simple. My impulses to visit and enter the temple was now become an inexplicable and impressive command which ultimately cannot be denied. My own German will no longer controls my acts and volition, henceforth possible only in minor matters. Such madness it was drove Cleanse to his death, bareheaded and unprotected in the ocean. But I am a Prussian and a man of sense. Let me go check my messages. Hey. Let me go put this here. Such madnesses which drove Cleanse to his death, bareheaded and unprotected in the ocean. But I am a Prussian and a man of sense, and will use to the last what little will I have. When first I saw that I must go, I prepared my diving suit, helmet, and air regenerator for instant dawning, and immediately commenced to write this hurried chronicle in the hope that it may some day reach the world. I shall seal the manuscript in a bottle and entrust it to the sea as I leave the U-29 forever. I have no fear, not even from the prophecies of the madman. Oh, thank you, sweetie, for the follow. Please enjoy yourself. I will finish up the temple, and then I'll find some cutie to raid with. I thank you very much, sweetie, for the follow, and it's always greatly appreciated. Because he did just follow. If you have any redeems you wish me to do, please say them, and I will do them. I have no fear, not even from the prophecies of the madman Cleanse. What I have seen cannot be true, and I know that this madman of my own will most lead only to suffocation when my air is gone. The air in the temple, or the light in the temple, is a sheer delusion, and I shall die calmly, like a German, in the black and forgotten depths. You have fears of women? That's okay. We can slowly get used to them. This demonic laughter, which I hear as I write, comes only from my own weakening brain, so I will carefully don my diving suit and walk boldly up to the steps into that primal shrine and silent secret of unfathomable waters and uncounted years. And that, my friends, was H.P. Lovecraft, The Temple. A wonderful short story, which, even though I say short, was only something like 8 pages, and you're constantly interrupted by my countless yawns. But I thank each and every one of you for being here. For that, I thank you. And let me go quickly refresh this. See if there's anyone beautiful I can share my wonderful viewers with. Found one. Oh. Okay. I will ask you this, Lukey. Raid person 1, who has 1 viewer, or raid person 2, who has 44? And what you decide. By the way, the person with the 1 viewer also has great booba. You might enjoy them greatly, so let me go just quickly mute that ad, because no one likes ads. There. And meow. Thank you, Lucky, for being here. You're a good, sweet kid. And for that, I thank you for being here. Thank you, sweetie. You're a good kitty. Good, sweet kitty. I can't guess because, oh, you're not here, but good kitty. And always, if you ever need me to read and I have